We usually think of a breakup as a mutual process, two people mourning the loss of an emotional bond, working through sadness, and eventually moving on with their lives. A separation involving a highly narcissistic individual follows a different pattern. The abuser processes the end of the relationship as an attack on their internal stability. Rather than mourning a loss, they often pivot immediately into a state of active, hostile pursuit. This mismatch in reality creates a dangerous trap for the person leaving. Instinct tells you to sit down for a final conversation, to explain your side, or to seek some kind of mutual, amicable closure. The problem is that a person with pathological narcissism lacks both authentic empathy and the capacity for moral self-reflection. They are clinically incapable of providing that resolution. Approaching a narcissistic separation with the playbook of a normal breakup is a strategic error. Negotiating for closure often hands the exact tools they need to maintain their power over you. To survive this dynamic, you have to understand how the abuser actually sees you. In the narcissistic psyche, a partner is never recognized as an independent, autonomous human being. You are what clinicians call an external psychical regulator. A minimalist, unbalanced shape representing the narcissist is physically stabilized by an attached external module, the victim. You manage their internal equilibrium. This creates object ownership. You are viewed as an extension of their persona. Leaving triggers a psychological amputation, leaving their core completely fractured. This explains why post-separation harassment, the texts, the showing up unannounced, is rarely driven by romance. It is a desperate, panicked necessity to reclaim a missing piece of their own psychological structure. The moment you reject a narcissistic individual, it activates deep, toxic shame within them. Psychologists call this a narcissistic injury. Because they are unable to look inward or reflect on their own behavior, they have to externalize that shame immediately. The trauma is pushed outward into an aggressive fixation on you. To maintain psychological balance, they use a defense mechanism called splitting. A unified circle representing your identity violently cleaves into contrasting halves, pure white and pitch black. The good traits dissolve, leaving total devaluation, projecting their own instability directly onto you. By framing you as a purely abusive enemy, the narcissist feels morally justified in executing cruel, retaliatory stalking. This fixation often manifests as obsessive digital and physical tracking. The abuser experiences an infantile regression, a primitive fear that if they cannot see you or monitor your life, they cease to exist. Within this obsession, any reaction you give them becomes emotional fuel. Fear, anger, or defending yourself, every single response acts as a psychological stimulus. Their internal logic is simple. If you are still reacting to them, it confirms their power remains intact. It tells them they are still important. This creates a chemical addiction. In this flowchart, a victim reaction node feeds into dopamine release, looping back into escalated aggression. Your distress hits their ego's reward centers. They are neurologically addicted to validating their existence through your anxiety. As long as you provide the emotional fuel of a reaction, the abuser is neurologically incapable of stopping the harassment voluntarily. The no-contact protocol functions as a proactive strategic barrier. It is designed to starve the narcissist of supply by cutting off every avenue of interaction. Implementing this creates a dangerous reaction. A flat baseline abruptly spikes into a massive peak before plummeting. This extinction burst is the highest risk period for relapse, but clinically proves the no-contact protocol is working. Surviving this phase requires unwavering behavioral consistency. If you relent to answer one text or false apology, you prove that persistence pays off. You reinforce the behavior and reset the entire stalking cycle. Total silence is the tool required to navigate this surge and fundamentally neutralize the source of the abuser's power. Sometimes, simple psychological boundaries are just not enough. Narcissists often operate under a delusion called the narcissistic right of exception, the belief that societal laws and norms apply to everyone else, but not to them. Because they lack an internal moral compass to govern their actions, their behavior can only be stopped by introducing external institutional consequences. This requires meticulous documentation. track accidental encounters, log messages from mutual friends, and preserve every piece of communication, even those sounding concerned or apologetic. All of this effort serves one primary goal: shifting you out of a state of hypervigilance and into genuine emotional autonomy. You must become what clinicians call a non-reflector. You remove the emotional mirroring signal entirely. By doing this, the narcissist's psyche no longer receives the signal that he exists for you. The abuser pursues you because they cannot bear the reality of your independence. Maintaining complete silence neutralizes their influence by removing the very thing they seek to control.